Oh god, this one is more overdue than my reviews of Mass Effect 2 and the Rurouni Kenshin sequels.
Yes, this is another thing I put on the docket for 2014 that got pushed back an entire year due to my coverage of Lightning Returns. Disgaea is an award-winning tactical RPG series from developer Nippon Ichi Software that focuses around the relation of demons, humans, and the divine in semi-serious, semi-satirical storylines. They focus on the forced alliance between anti-heroic characters and more traditional heroic foils, with how the two develop from exposure to one another being a key element to the story.
Shenanigans ensue.
In 2013, I took a look at the first game, and really liked the humor, the world, and the development the characters, in specific Laharl, went through.
And also had some fun with kicking the asses of a bunch of angels that were conceited, ignorant jackasses that thought themselves right when they were more corrupt than the demons. A recurring trope I'm a fan of is showing that just because you're aligned with the light doesn't mean you're actually a good guy, and moral extremes and absolutes are to be avoided.
Nah, I'm a guy that prefers to be a master of balance. I'm mellow like that when I'm not getting riled up by stupid stories, stupid characters, and annoying situations.
Also the screaming and whining of children. I am not good around little kids.
But Disgaea seems to consistently deliver on good, comedic stories without me needing to go, because Japan, signifying a potential culture gap to appreciation, or just something that really is not funny.
This entry, Disgaea 2 Cursed Memories, was first released in 2006, and the last in the series before it went and got an upgrade for the PS3. Like its preceding entry, it was re-released on the PSP, with a new play mode to freshen up the plot to interest people to pick it up, but I have the PS2 version, so that's what I'm playing.
I've honestly been playing this on and off since 2013, not because I wasn't interested in the main story, but I started to realize I'm not finding the tactical RPG gameplay all that intriguing like some of the other battle systems for other RPGs. I guess with so much exposure to it, especially with my Let's Play of Chroma Squad earlier in the year, and going through Project Cross Zone again in preparation for its sequel coming this February, it started to get tedious, especially with the tedium of what leveling I did through the item world, so I'm not sure how much farther into the series I'll get.
Gotta say though, while I greatly enjoyed Hour of Darkness' story, and intend to get to its direct sequel of Brighter Darkness someday, I didn't mind at all that Cursed Memories wasn't a direct follow-up.
Probably because this game has a good story to tell on its own, and Etna and Laharl are recurring characters along its length, so it's not entirely ignoring them. The game focuses on the world of Veldheim, whose populace has been turned into monsters by the curse of an Overlord over the past 15 years. As a result, there's an entire generation born as monsters that don't know anything else, while those their elder remember their past existences less and less, with the potential for the world to be turned into a true netherworld if such continues.
It's actually kind of a clever subtext that this has become the new normal, so saving the world from the fate of just becoming another demon's paradise means going against the greater populace the protagonist intends to save.
Fortunately, it's not yet gone that far, most people retaining their conscience and inner soul of being a human, but such wanes each day, as observed by the game's main protagonist, Adele. Adele is the only purported human to escape from the curse intact, not being affected by it in any respect anyone can tell. But his family, not so much, as he's had to witness each day as they lose a piece of themselves to the curse.
I grew up watching as my family slowly turned into monsters. Can you even imagine how painful that is? If my family becomes something truly monstrous, I won't let that happen!
And as such, the beginnings of the game showcase them enacting a plan to use his mother's immense skill as a summoner to bring the Overlord responsible for the curse directly to them. The evil Lord Xenu!
Curse you, Scientology!
However, as is the modus operandi for Disgaea, the summoning goes awry to hilarious effect, instead summoning the female lead, Rosalind, who proclaims herself the daughter of the Overlord Xenon.
Well, she sure is cute for an Overlord.
Oh, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, please never change.
And yeah, she's not happy, nor does she really care for the plight of these people, the banter and her character shifts forming most of the dynamic of the story. However, she's never met her progenitor, so can't lead them to Lord Xenu to stop the curse. and thoughts of using her as a hostage is put a stop to by Adele.
For, destroying the morality of a people, that can backfire quite easily, as they no longer care for things that might make them hesitate and bow to your whims.
Now granted, we know monsters and demons do have morality in the Disgaea universe from the first game. It's just held to different standards, which won't exist in the way people are being turned into monsters.
Hey, at least they aren't dying to become them, am I right? Fi's next week.
And as said, Adele remains the moral one, just wanting a straight-up fight with Xenu, so offers to just straight-up return her to her parent, as that way he'll get to his goal either way. And this is helped that the terms of the summoning requires Adele meet Xenon to release her from the contract that keeps the two in proximity.
Disgaea, if you've not noticed, tends to throw a wrench in the expected dynamics for its protagonists. Laharl, who would otherwise be a villain of a series, was the main character, and to him got stuck Flan, an idealistic good guy. This is paralleled here with Adele, the cliché hot-blooded battle freak.
You love the thrill of battle, don't you? You battle maniac.
Stuck with a girl that would otherwise be the standard evil female general type, staying back and not doing much beyond subverting and misleading the heroes and filling out a character quota.
However, as we begin our quest, we learn that Rosalind is a sheltered, lonely girl, not having seen the outside world once, meaning she's amazingly low level for a demon of her stature. And though she's been showered in gifts daily by Xenu, which keeps her occupied, this is the first opportunity she's ever had to see the outside world, or interact with someone that wasn't a servant.
Despite that, however, she's fiercely loyal to Xenu, seeing that as the devotion of the man, and doesn't have any other frame of reference towards such by that upbringing.
So, her repeated proclamations of his love for her despite their separation become more and more hollow as the game moves on, before she finally just stops bringing it up. This brings us to the gameplay, and the gameplay for Disgaea is not that much different from Disgaea 1, or most tactical RPGs, just with a bit more variety everywhere from what it started as in the first entry. There are more geopanel effects, there's more stuff to do in the item world, the Dark Assembly is a bit more balanced and you can in fact become a senator to cast your vote in bills brought to the Assembly, and then there's the annoying felon system, which can gift you with felonies in the item world that actually hinders your character in the long run.
Why would you do that? I did not play around with that dynamic at all when I went through it, mainly as I was shooting for the best one of the branching endings on my first try, due to a lack of time, and that requires a character to not have a high felony rating.
And yeah, because of that, I really did not get a chance to unlock a bunch of the side stuff, which requires a lot more effort to obtain than in the first game.
There are 12 extra stages which requires a specific unique objective to unlock, relating to gameplay time, mana reserves from defeating enemies, specific items obtained in the item world, high felony counts, and clearing or being on specific chapters of the game. For all of them, with over 40 hours of gameplay, you need 99 felonies on one character, 9,999 mana, 6 Defender of Earth cell phones, and the clearing of 25 Dark World maps, which are more difficult counterparts to normal maps.
And that's not even getting into the Land of Carnage, which requires 16 treasure maps, one each from the 16 varieties of pirates that appear in the item world, but only show up inconsistently. The last group of pirates only appearing on stage 61 or higher, that I did not even bother with.
As I'm one of those Disgaea players that didn't particularly care to go to the item world, instead using the boss area maps of each region to power level, at least until I unlocked the Cave of Wonders. And one of the problems of Disgaea 2 is often I would find that the randomly generated maps in the item world were unnavigatable because of specific party hindrances. Mainly that I did not bring with me enough characters that had sufficient distance to throw characters across gaps in the map.
And yeah, it took me forever to figure out what characters had a good throw range for that capability, as I never found where such a stat was listed. Compounded by the fact that I kept my party to a small, manageable number of characters, and did not really play around with all the varied character creation this time. I knew the game would periodically give me new ones to level as I progressed through it, so didn't see the point.
I only ended up making 2 other characters that I regularly used, who I named after Haseo and Natalie for obvious reasons. The former a fighter, the latter a healer that I armed with a bow, who ended up being the single most dead useful character of the group.
The reason for that is, well, Rosalind's gun can only shoot in straight lines, while Adelie's bow was able to fire at angles, and in these games, I try to keep the users of the weapons to the ones they have the highest affinity for. Hell, even in the cutscene Rosalind's wielding a gun, so I didn't wish to diverge from that.
It ended up being a pretty big weakness, and sadly there wasn't a good mediating factor like, say, superior range to compensate for the limited areas of effect.
Haseo I gave a spear, simply because of the melee weapons in Disgaea, the spears are most dead useful.
Plus they didn't have scythes or broadswords, and I already had a gunner, and everyone else of the main story party are better with melee.
Anyways, the first few levels focus on Rosalind's exploits to get free of the contract, by leading Adele into death traps. While she in no way believes Adele has a chance against Xenu, why tempt fate?
She naturally ends up helping us kill things and level up just as often.
We occasionally do get cutscenes with Xenu, showing that he is aware of Rosalind's plight, but doesn't particularly care aside from retrieving her, preferring to keep to the shadows as his two masked minions perform his plans. It's in the first chapter's final story region we are introduced to Axel, the Dark Hero!
Oh please, you will never outrate David Hayter's big break here. What? I still really like this movie!
Which this game tries to sell as its comparable mid-boss archetype character.
And yeah, there's no comparing him to Veers. Axel just ends up being the game's butt monkey, as encounters with Adele and Rosalind keep leaving him in worse and worse straits.
Though I'll say this for the encounters, such moments of becoming a butt monkey are at the very least caused by his ego and the related resultant karmatic backlash. But it just gets excessive at points, particularly in the news segments that bookend each chapter of the game, where for a stretch they keep proclaiming him dead, and the Axel that's trying to show he's alive is an imposter that should be killed on sight.
It's meant as dark comedy, sure, but I just found it ultimately disproportionately delivered. Remember, laughing at suffering is okay when that is its intent, but only when it's not all unfairly shoved onto a singular individual.
But yeah, the first few levels, with Rosalind trying to get Adele killed, she repeatedly tells him that various people they encounter are in fact Xenon, and then he proceeds to kick their asses.
I won't lose! I have to save my family!
This human, his family must be important to him. But if they are so important to him, he should stop fighting lost causes that will only get him killed. Nothing ever comes from dying. What a fool. Fighting is so sad.
Remember this explains so much later.
Though Rosalind does begin to acclimate to the conditions at Adele's place, showing her repeatedly building a rapport with Adele's siblings Taro and Hanako, loving the latter's cooking, and the former appearing to crush on the demonic woman. Helping Straits is when they eventually find the castle Rosalind lived in all her life, and find to recruit Rosalind's longest and only friend, Tink, who has been changed into a demonic frog by an unknown assailant.
It's just weird to see a frog with a tail like that. Also makes me wonder what that'd look like on the end of a fishing... Excuse me for a second. Hello? No, Big! I do not know where Froggy is! Stop calling me!
And naturally, Tink is French, because apparently the French have somehow become related to frogs in some respect.
Maybe it's the infinity of frog legs as a delicacy. Those are Airlon rolls, not barrel rolls, Slippy.
And of course, he's also apparently a pervert, because there always is in these kinds of games.
Except for some reason, Disgaea won as far as I can remember.
Well, excuse us for being flat.
As we learn, however, there are other people out there gunning for Xenu, specifically for his title of the God of Overlords.
And one of them is someone we know.
Hello? I
I am Demon Lord Etna, but you can call me Beauty Queen Etna.
Yeah, this game chronologically takes place after the events of Disgaea 1,
though there's wibbly-wobbly involved all over the place with respect to cross-game continuity when these kinds of cameos and recruitables occur in Disgaea. I take it simply as these games being more focused on comedic scenarios, accenting a more serious and character-driven main story, than a following of a concrete timeline, especially as they rarely try to call out or invoke continuity outside of their own story.
Anyways, Edna became fed up with Laharl over some incident, and decided to strike out and become an overlord on her own, and with the nature of her ambition, set her sights on the title of God of all overlords to one-up Laharl in its complete entirety. Though Rosalind does not think much of her, nor plans to acquiesce to her demands to lead her immediately to Xenu.
It is difficult to imagine that a demon lord would have such a flat chest. You really want to die, huh? What is this nonsense? She was attacking me. Why didn't you run?
I made you a promise. I'm gonna keep that promise even if it kills me.
It's this act that begins to make Rosalind reconsider her view of Adele and begin to become more open towards him, while Adele comes to terms with the fact that he got his ass handed to him 3 ways to Sunday for the first time ever. What?
And you are meant to lose this fight, at least the first few times around, as Etna's level is in the thousands while you are likely to be in the low double digits. It's a completely one-sided affair, and it's meant to be.
Though if you do manage to defeat Edna, Adele obtains the title of Demon Lord from her.
However, while Adele's coming to terms with that, Hanako and Taro are kidnapped by Axel, who's seeking revenge for his own schemes that crossed Adele's path, well, ruined his life, and plans to get it back with a battle that shows Adele as a villain.
What if we refuse, huh? What if we throw you out like garbage in front of the entire universe? How will you come back from that?
That's what my secret plan is for. Even if I lose, I can use the latest special effect technology to edit the footage. No matter how badly I lose or how much I beg for my life, I can fix it all in post.
Editing does not work that way!
Though this chapter and the following one get more into the familial relationship revolving around Adele. See, Adele is adopted, his birth parents having left him with his current parents, along with Taro and Hanako, not long before Xenu's curse took effect. Adele believing that, due to the memory-affecting nature of the being's spells, it's likely he was not left intentionally, just another victim of the curse in the grand scheme of things. It supplies another motivator for why he's so passionate about confronting Xenu, not just to help the family he has, but the one he lost as well.
And it makes his devotion and the relationship with the one he has all the more striking, that throughout their change and their inhibitions released, they still lived and loved like a normal family.
It's what inspires Rosalind to call out Axel's actions with a straight-up reason you suck speech, and admit openly that at this point she's with Adele because she wants to be, not because of the terms of the contract, as she's had multiple chances now to kill him and be done with it.
Hey, I get it now. The princess was brainwashed by a secret society, and only I can free her from the vicious tigress they turned her into.
Dude, you are one step away from becoming Tatewaki Kuno. You do not want to jump down that rabbit hole.
However...
Yeah.
Taro swept downriver into the Cavern of Evil.
Yeah, about that. Part of the world's transition into another world due to the effects of the curse is a transmutation of regions into demonic counterparts, and this is one such area.
And to go about rescuing Taro, Hanako joins the party as a monster recruit, something she'd been wanting to do for some time, but Adele, as the responsible big brother, had kept telling her no.
Hanako's kind of a mischievous brat like that.
However, it's not just them. While Axel kidnapped the kids, he didn't actually intend to put them in danger, so backs the others up in his own way, as part of a search to find his identity again. And complicating things further on the rescue is one of Xenu's servants coming to return the princess home, an act that further inspires her to seek him out. From such, they get a flute that subjugates the demons of the area, only Axel, for some reason, able to play it. And as Rosalind is the one centrally responsible for saving him, Taro pledges his fealty to Rosalind, becoming her servant and joining the party as well. However, someone at this point has gotten the bright idea to host a tournament.
Oh god, not another tournament arc. Damn you, Dragon Ball, for making those so popular!
Whose grand prize is to meet with Lord Xenu. Naturally, the entire cast is invested in getting that prize.
As is Etna.
As she enters her pretty legions into the brackets.
How can anything involving these guys be a perfect plan? Just look at them!
Yeah, you're right. Say, if you end up fighting against them, could you take a dive?
We also meet a young ninja named Yukimaru here, who has an odd verbal tick.
Yes, to fulfill my duties as a ninja, I must enter this battle arena, Sam.
No, it's Zom. Big Zom. It's Zeon's greatest mobile armor.
Once the Big Zom is mass-produced, we'll put an end to the Federation in no time.
Actually, this is a translation quirk. In the Japanese version of her dialogue, she speaks in an older iteration of Japanese's dialect, and adds de gozaru to the end of her sentences as a formal expression of respect and politeness.
A quirk more commonly associated with the character of Kenshin Himura from Rurouni Kenshin. I seem to be forming a chain of unintentionally related reviews as of late.
But it ties into her characterization as she always presents herself in a polite and amicable manner, even towards her enemies and people she doesn't care for. And Yukimaru's actually the reason why the group learns of the tournament when she gets lost while trying to find its location. In it for her own reasons, which over time are revealed to be that she is in search of her twin brother, Fubuki, the individual that turned Tink into its current Demon Froggy form. And doesn't really care about who he hurts in his, and by proxy her, quest to strike at Lord Xenu for slaughtering his and Yukimaru's home over a decade ago, choosing to go after Rosalind multiple times, not just during the tournament, but afterwards, and impersonating people repeatedly to get close enough to strike.
Though my eyes see no light, my heart sees everything. I know who you are, daughter of the Overlord.
Plot point. As Fubuki, we later learn, was blinded in Lord Xenu's attack on the Snow Clan, though the tournament does have a bunch of other fun elements.
Such as Adele showing how intelligent a person he is by quickly and efficiently figuring out the traps of an opponent that fights using geopanels, introducing the individual now for early establishment of a later payoff, while showcasing the protagonist as a well-rounded individual.
I thought you were just a foolish brute who ran headfirst into battle, but you are surprisingly adept as well, Adele.
If I put my mind to it, I can solve these things pretty quick. Just because I like to rush into things doesn't mean I can't think.
And I really, really wish more Japanese series would take that route with their hot-blooded heroes. These days, they have been becoming almost synonymous with fucking imbeciles when they used to be more varied in characterization.
Another point of hilarity is the return of everyone's favorite rainbow-themed heroes.
No, not them. The Prism Rangers.
With our powers combined, we are...
Captain Planet!
What's hilarious about this is from Rosalind's dialogue and subsequent expansions, it ends up being made very clear that, for all that she initially denigrated Adele's aspects of heroism, she is in fact a closet Prism Rangers fan. In fact, in the single extra level I was actually able to unlock, we get to face them again, and by beating them, Adele becomes the honorary Prism Black, with Rosalind wishing she had officially been titled Prism Pink.
It's okay, Rosalind. You can just go and buy Chroma Squad off of Steam, and make it even better Sentai Team! With blackjack! And hookers! And seals holding back demonic possession!